you'll still make some money off of what I'm doing, but Kyla is in a place where she's serving me in a massive way. Would that be something you'd be open to? In most cases, that is a much more well received scenario than just asking for it outright, because they just don't see it the same way we do, right? And fairness just doesn't come into the equation for most of those situations. So that would be my thought on that. And obviously, sometimes we're ready to go, right? We jump in the gun and we're like chomping at the bit, and sometimes we need to spend some more time doing our spiritual work to get things lined up, right? One of the things I'm really trying to do, I am a effort type person where I don't know if any of you are like this too, but like for me, the concept of maybe mentally kind of trying to relax and doing things right before I fall asleep, or when I'm in this relaxed state and I'm not in a trying state or a effort based state, is something I am working on. So I'm trying to shift my, into more my subconscious instead of my conscious brain, right? And using that visualization. So if it was me and I was going to be asking for that enrollership, I say that I've talked to the person they said they feel uncomfortable. They can't talk to the original enroller. They just won't do it, something like that. Then I know that I have to get involved. I'm going to spend some time in visualization and preparing for that conversation, because it is so vital that it happen a certain way. You can go back over and over and again, and ask these people, but eventually they usually get a bad taste in their mouth, right? And we really don't want that. Those are the people that, they never come around, they never turn, because sometimes if you don't burn that bridge, like the Jansons have taught us, right? Don't burn that bridge. That person could come back. That person could build. And our goal really is that the people that have gone cold get warm again, right? And we don't want anything to be our fault why they don't get warm again, right? So if we can help that to not be a relationship that gets burned, then ideally that would be the goal. So those are a couple of thoughts I have on that. Thank you, Kyla. I'm sure there's many of us thinking about that piece, right? We're like, I just put how much money into convention? I don't have enrollership here, and here. So that's very good. I love it. Any other experiences? Yeah.
And Bobby did tell me, he's like, you really need to talk to Roxane first. I wish I would have.
Hey, well, one of them, 50-50. One of them went well, right? So, okay. Any other experiences where you guys have seen this post-convention blues kind of thing happen, or?
I'll share something, Roxane. This is
Thanks, Emily.
So last year, right after convention, I left like the next week for 6 weeks to Europe. And I have to say that made a huge difference on my whole business last year, because I went off on a vacation for 6 weeks, right? I still was trying to do like some Zooms and stuff. But so one thing I think I learned from that experience was that I kind of was sitting there thinking, my leaders are on fire, they're going to go for it. But like, I can't just like back off for 6 weeks and not do anything, right? So I think for me, I really learned that to try and cultivate like that energy that we just felt, right? And try and help my leaders now, like really kind of keep that feeling as best that they can and try and remember that feeling. And so I'm going to be talking to them about that today, just like when that feeling goes away and when we start feeling frustrated and it's like, oh, life really happens. Like it's not all convention bliss, right? Like how do we deal with that? How do we try and get that feeling back so that we can keep doing the things we need to do to grow? So one thing I'm going to do this year that I just decided I want to do kind of like we always do, like it seems like we always do like kind of bigger, like let's get to the next rank things. I feel like I want to go back to doing more of like smaller, like where people are really accountable. And it's like, okay, hey, like I have, a few people that like really want to be silver by the end of December so they can go to leadership, right? So I just want to do like kind of more intimate kind of accountability groups to help them get so that, and then I feel like maybe I'll be able to teach the leadership better so they can then turn around and do that with their more intimate groups, like people they really need. So that's
Love
one
that.
thing I'm
I love
starting
that.
right away. I'm starting it right away so that we can try and just keep on that convention high as best we can. See how it
That's
goes.
brilliant. You know, sorry if you guys are getting an echo. I'm not sure how to take care of that. So the intimacy piece is super awesome.
You have to have Emily. You have to mute your line.
Here, maybe I can do that for her from here. Oh, she's got it. She's good. Okay. So, so one of the things that convention is not is intimate, right? I think we can all be clear on that. Convention is not intimate. And if you're having intimate moments with your leaders at convention, it's because you've really gone to some massive effort to create those intimate moments, right? Because it's like it's a big party. Everybody is working together, but we're not, doing this intimate connecting time. So I think that's powerful, Emily, to take that big, group energy and then take it and carry it into that intimate time with each leader or helping people go silver. I actually love what you said. I think that if even we just all said, you know what, we're going to help new people get to silver so that they can go to leadership, that is brilliant, because we all know that getting people to the next event is the goal, right? So any post-convention events we have in our area or that we can take people to and helping our teams get connected to those, huge help in building and creating that continuity that we want to keep from the event. Okay, so we know that it's possible that you're going to run onto that. So in some ways, that expectation, not that I want you guys to have the expectation of, oh, my team's going to be down or whatever, right? But the expectation that trials are going to come, and that's okay. That's part of what we get to do to, here we heard, is it Immaculée? Is that how you say her name? From Rwanda, right? And we could see from her experience that trial has made her into an amazing person. Now, would she wish that she didn't have to experience that? Yes. And are we going to wish that we didn't have to experience whatever it is that's in our path when we've gotten home from this unifying, spiritually uplifting, total high building event, right? Yeah, it'd be nice. But you and I both know that in order for us to be the leader that we need to be for the next level, we do have to go through some shaping and some hardening, right? That will give us create the diamond that we're trying to create, right? So, as you guys listed those upper limits, I really appreciate that. I think that that will help you be aware. If you haven't written those down, then at least mentally kind of, realizing, okay, what's happening for me? Am I fighting with my spouse? I know that's one thing that, like, we were getting along great. And then the second that we started coming back home, we started arguing, and that's an upper limit, right? That can, I see Evan and Melissa laughing. So we know that upper limits will show up in all sorts of ways, right? And we kind of sabotage the growth that's happening, but we all know how to work that out. And part of it is just recognizing what's happening, right? So that we don't go, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart, right? We just recognize this is how this works, right? So the other thing I've been reading, Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, I believe it's Richard Brooks, right? Isn't that the name of the author? I probably slaughtered it, but okay. So he talks a lot about how in his network marketing experience, and those of you who haven't read his book, he started working as a young man in a chicken factory, processing factory where they, hang chickens and cut them. And he basically was making $12,000 a year at that career. Okay. When he went into network marketing, he was all fired up and excited, but guess what? He still made $12,000 a year. And he actually made that income for 4 years because his expectation was set that that's what I can create, right? Is that type of income. And I love how he talks about expectations are everything. And some of us, and I am in the same boat, you guys, like presidential is awesome, but I want to go beyond, right? Because I know that I have bigger dreams. I saw all those things that I want to donate to, the last day of convention. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I felt like, man, I've got to make a bigger income, because if I want to give big chunks to these organizations that are doing such great work, I can't be Dave Sterling and go on the sting operations and do stuff with, in that Underground Railroad, right? But I know I can put money towards that and help them do what they need to do, right? So I want to reach double diamond. That's what's on my radar, right? And so I'm hitting upper limits. I'm definitely seeing that my my wealth thermostat is set where I'm making right now. And I'm like, why am I just hitting up against that, right? All the time. Like, I never thought I'd make this much money. So my brain's like, this is where my expectation is. I don't need any more than that. I'm totally set, right? So we're all dealing with changing our expectations so that they literally are not expecting whatever it may be. Here's an example. So, for us, presidential has been pretty solid, and I've wanted to bring on new leaders, but the money piece is so comfortable that sometimes I didn't feel the push, right? And it's recently I'm like, okay, Roxane, you got to get some action happening, right? So I had a particular couple that's chiropractic couple, very successful, and I was like, I really want to work with them. I want them to be leaders that start this new leg that we're going to work with, right? And I started, all the things that I teach everyone else, right? I started writing gratitude statements and meditating on them and visualizing them, and this was pre-convention, so I was like, I'm seeing them at convention. And we basically everything we could do to not only, actually literally propose the idea to them in an email, because I went to their office, tried to have lunch with them, and they couldn't, get away, and all these things, so I'm like, I am going to, fine, I will just email them and say, we want to partner with you, come and kick the tires, we're going to pay for your hotel, we invest in people that we believe in, just come and check out what doTERRA has to offer, right? What I felt like, I was like, I'm doing everything I teach other people. I'm totally, meditating on this. I'm putting so much mental effort in and focus, right? And they basically were like, right now is not the time for us. And I quite honestly felt like, what? Here I've done all this mental processing and, visualizing it. How could that be the response right now, right? And but what was really neat was to see what happened in my environment as I basically put myself in that zone of focus, right? It turned out that at least right now, they're not the leaders that are showing up, but other leaders have come forward that I didn't expect. So because honestly, when that experience happened, I had some real worries and doubts come up, like, oh my gosh, here I've been teaching people all this time to do gratitude statements and to focus. And here I had this experience where I was like, literally, probably the most focused I've ever been on creating a relationship with a leader, right? That wasn't there yet, that I knew could happen, and so focused and so driven on it. And, everything was dialed in, I felt like, right? And then it didn't work, right? And I thought, so what does that mean? Is faith not real? Does it not create outcomes, right? And quite literally sat with that question for multiple days of, oh my gosh, is everything that I've always said about faith and how much power it has, is it not true, right? Does it not work? But what's been so neat is to see that as I got myself in that place of, my focus is creating new relationships with leaders, right? And this was who I had my heart set on, but guess what? So-and-so showed up, and another person just showed up this morning, and so it was really powerful for me to see that, okay, I have to be open to the fact that I can put all my energy and all my focus in this one zone, but they still get to choose. And the cool part is that it wasn't like I came up with zero, right? It may not have been how I envisioned it, but it still is happening. And if I hadn't, so when you get this worry of, should I put all that attention and time? Roxane said that, that couple she worked on didn't even happen. So why would I spend all my focus there, right? Why would I put all that attention in if it's not even going to happen? But as I said, it brought other people that said, hey, I want to talk to you more about when you said that you used doTERRA to get out of debt, what did that look like? And right. And so people that I wasn't thinking would be the ones, they are showing up. So hopefully that can help you if you're in the same zone, or if that happens to you here as you come out of convention and you're so excited. You may experience something like that where you're putting a lot of heart and soul into someone, but be sure that there will be fruit. The fruit will come because you are planting seeds, and you are planting and cultivating, as Emily said, right, your own belief and your own focus and your own desire to have these leaders in your business. And even if they're not the one you had in mind, someone else will come. and very often it was like these were within days, right? This was all happening at the same time as I was focused on that couple. So kind of cool to see that's how that has worked, at least in our business. Um, so just want to let each one of you have a minute to bring up any, thoughts or even anything from convention that has been on your heart. I know there were a couple of quotes that have just stuck with me, and I want to close with those, but I'd love to hear any of your insights or even worries right now. So I'm going to mute and let you guys talk. This is what's so great about this upper level call is you get a minute to be in a group of people that know what you're going through. This is all either very experienced diamonds or blues. So don't be afraid to put it on the line.
Hey, Roxane, can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay. This is Caroline. The one thing that I guess we have struggled a little bit. We've got several people who have come to convention that have been the same rank. And it just kind of hurts. My heart goes out to them because it's almost like discouraging when they come to convention. They don't get renewed. It's more, they start comparing where they should be versus where they currently are. Do you guys have some suggestions? Because obviously we've been working with these individuals for several years now, and what we've been saying obviously isn't getting through or not working. So I'm just looking for some more insights to what we can do to offer them some encouragement to move forward.
Great question, Caroline. I do feel like, and I don't know what rank these people are, but I do feel like, and I might have mentioned this stat in our room at the Share Success training, because we had the silvers who are trying to go gold in our room, and that is probably the biggest gap in the business is people trying to reach gold. We have a lot of people who get to silver and they get stuck. And we all know that the silver income is not enough to keep you motivated to stay in doTERRA, right? Like, oh my gosh, can't stay there. Especially if income is your need, if you're really just in it for some other reason than like community, then I guess it could be. But so that being said, we really want to focus on that group of people and helping them get to the next level and truly apply. I mean, like you and I both know and I feel like that book, Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, talks about this, right? You can have every book, personal development book, and spend money on different speakers and coaches. But if you quite literally are not willing to change your expectations, which happens with your subconscious mind, then you will expect failure. You will basically expect what you've been doing, which is failing, right? So if you have a silver who's stuck at silver, they have been watching themselves suck, for however long, and they feel like, I'm just going to keep sucking. I went to convention and just saw how lame I am and all these other people are succeeding and I'm not. And right. So now what's their expectation, right? I'm just going to be the same thing I was last year. I went to convention and I didn't change, right? I just stayed the same. So what's going to be different this year? So that would be a book that I would actually probably recommend to those, like maybe you want to even get that group together and read that book as a group, because you could give them some sort of insight, right, Caroline? But to be honest, we all have to get our own motivation from within. And that book really drills down into the difference between desire, motivation, and actual actions and expectations. And it's a really good book. So I would say, and you guys pray on it, you and John, there is a ton. Okay, the book title is Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire. And there's so many more out there, right? But basically, as leaders, you and John can be inspired to know exactly what personal development book it is that's going to take those people from where they are now, stuck, right, to the next level. And honestly, I feel like Richard Brooks, I believe that's his name, you guys help me if I'm wrong, but the author of Mach 2, he talks about that getting stuck, right? And he was stuck. He very literally was like just hitting the same income over and over, right? Which 12,000 a year is, whoa. I mean, this was a few years back. So, but that's what he was hitting because that was his expectation. And so he is going to help them to get their own awareness, because once again, if you guys just give them, some sort of webinar call and try to take it, and give it to them, right? Feed it to them, if you will, it's not going to be enough. They have to actually put in some effort and some time and thought and get their own awareness as to what it is they need to change and their own expectation needs to change. So that's what I would probably do.
Yeah, no,
Roxanne,
I
can
like
I
that.
add something?
Please go right ahead.
So when she asked that, a thought came to my mind, and it's something that I learned from Kirk Duncan, actually, where he talks about your income that you have coming in is directly correlated with the amount of relationships that you have that are unresolved. So it can be things that you feel bad about doing, or it can be things that you need to forgive. But if you don't let go of that, then your income will not grow. And so you'll keep creating scenarios to sabotage that, which goes into what you were saying. But one of the things that's been helpful with my leaders that I've started seeing more movement, the ones that are stuck, is to kind of walk through that or refer them to a coach. So so I did an investment with a couple members of my team the last month and hired Dina Jordan actually to do some coaching with them. And they've already started moving from doing that and being able to work through some of those relationships.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Katie. That is so true. And I highly, highly, second that opinion. I think I was sharing with Evan and Melissa how, and some people have heard, and I'm sure most of you are like, okay, beat the dead horse. But, I quite literally feel that that was a big factor for us when Kyla and Bob Fennell came into our business. It was because we had spent some really serious time and effort and money on getting someone to guide us through that process and coach us with actually removing some of those blocks and things from our past and things that we were holding on to. So Katie referred to Dina Jordan, and Dina's, you can find her on the web. She spells her name Deena, right, Katie? I think.
Yeah, Deena.
And she's like, she's about one something an hour, 100 something an hour, right?
She's 100 an hour.
So, we're not talking about cheap investment here. Now, Natalie and Andy didn't come to us and say, hey, you guys need some personal development, so here's some money to, take care of that. Luckily, we had resources, right, that we could do that with. But, it is pretty awesome if you can find a way to maybe, pitch in. But I recommend that you make sure that the people have some skin in the game, and that they're not going to miss the calls or not get on the coaching sessions or not give it all they've got because they're not helping to pay for it. That would be my, thought. And there will be certain situations that you may feel differently about. But I highly recommend too that you interview a few people, right? Check them out. You don't have to use the first person that you find, and it doesn't even. You don't even have to start there. First thing you can do is just follow. If you've never even done Kirk Duncan's, we call it the BRR or the Let Go to Grow in our retreats, right? But for those of you who probably heard that like a zillion times, maybe it's a matter of even just going out and doing that again if you haven't done it in a while, right? Whether it be talking to the tree, some of you probably have taught this to your groups, right? Talking to the tree, or doing it, talking to the other seat in the car and just getting out some of the stuff that you're frustrated about. I have honestly brought this up to people, and they have quite literally said to me, I don't really have anyone that I haven't forgiven. And I'm just like, that is such a crock, because there is no way that you are a human being and you have quite literally lived your whole life without having, then you would be translated. Like, you wouldn't even be here. You would be Gandhi or whatever. Like, you are not, so you're not getting real. So if you find yourself saying the same thing, like, oh, I don't really have anyone I haven't forgiven, you might want to even just start by trying to forgive yourself for some of the crap you've done in the past, or, people you've hurt, or situations you regret, start with the one that's the most live wire for you right now, the one that gets you angry. That's probably what I would start with. And honestly, I'm a writer, and you probably know what it is for you. But I need to write my stuff out, and I do have to work out on the verbal, because the verbal is not as easy for me. I have to open that throat chakra. But but quite literally for me, I start writing by just saying, dear God, I am so frustrated because of this happened, right? And it gets me started. And then I just let it flow. Like I just write and write. And the more you can get into it, the more you can really find yourself, I would say, emotionally charged is a good word to put, whether it's crying or angry or swearing or whatever it might take. The more you are in that place, and it may not come the first time you try to do it. For some people, the first time they try to do it, it's really uncomfortable. And, this isn't stuff that you're like, oh, gee, I'm so excited. So most of us, it is exhausting work if you do it right. And if you have someone to help you, even better, that would be awesome. But please don't wait, because you're looking for the right coach. You can start today by either going out to talk to a tree, writing it out. And I very, very literally feel like it will show up in your business. Even if that's your motivation for starting this, that's okay. I hope that that's not where you end up, but if that's your motivation right at the beginning, okay, I want to open myself up for more leaders, that's okay. But the reality is that you are holding on to things and people are not coming into your space because of stuff that you're holding on to. You might even have problems with the corporation. You might have problems with one of the owners. I don't know. You know what I mean? One of your upline. I don't know. It doesn't have to be. Could, for me, I had stuff I needed to write with my dad, my husband, my, whatever, right? All these things that I needed to get out. And so hopefully that brings some thoughts there on what the next path is.
Rox, this is Joy. Who else? So I've just jotted down a few coaches that I know of that know doTERRA. Do you think it's important that they know kind of what we do and how it works?
That's a good question, Joy. I have known some coaches to actually try and pull people away from doTERRA.
Yeah, we don't want that.
and these are people who know doTERRA, right? They've been and I get it, right? We all need to have some sort of we cannot, use doTERRA as I don't know. I think of the word God, right? Like we can't worship doTERRA, right? We can't. Right. If it plays too big of a role, we always need to make sure that we keep that in its correct, way, right? Mm-hmm. But if you work with a coach who is, and I'm not saying this because I'm making money off of all of you, okay? If you work with a coach who's telling you, what, Lee, this is not good. Your livelihood is, you and I both know we've had spiritual experiences and that we are making a bigger difference building doTERRA than we had been prior, right? So, So if that is what the coaching you're getting, then I would recommend that you, either ask them to stop and say, hey, I'm happy with whatever else you're giving me, but this piece, I'm not feeling it. So let's just let that go because I'm not leaving that,
I mean, I certainly could use coaching myself for sure. And what I'm looking for is actually somebody, what's that?
You're looking for some names.
Well, I'm looking for names, but I'm also actually looking for somebody on my team who really wants it, right? She's been doing this. She's got her own business as well, and she's awesome. I love her. I actually really enjoy working with her. She's funny. We have a great relationship. She wants it, but she's been doing this for 3 years, and she cannot find a builder to save her life. And I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe it's not for you, because I don't know, but I would love to help her. I'm kind of at the point, she's still elite, but she has probably over 100 people on her team because she works in a field where it's easy for her to introduce the oils to people, but her follow through just is this. I don't even know what to do to help her anymore. You know what I mean? I'm stumped, so it's like, I would love to find somebody for her to work with if she'd be open to it. And I'm trying to figure out who
that might be.
Yeah.
Well, it's, I know that a lot of us love Kirk Duncan's stuff. And he not only had, it's hard to get a personal session with Kirk. Yeah. He doesn't necessarily do that so much, or he does, but it's really expensive. Right. So with his stuff, I would recommend, going to one of his trainings live. That would probably be ideal. And here I am recommending that. And my very first one's going to be in November. Here I am, the pot calling the kettle black. But I can tell you that I know amongst us all, there are more names that people could even just put out as ideas. And okay, what's her last
I
name?
have like Kirk Duncan, Jen Polson, Carmel
Yes.
Clark, Jordan, and Tiffany Peterson, who's obviously super expensive.
Great. And I can get you I'm like so blanking. I feel like it's Ange. She works with Brianne Hubby right now, and she does all the
deep dive stuff.
Is her last name Peters?
Angela DeWeese.
Thank you. That's it. Angela DeLeese. Thank you. I totally did some coaching with her, and I think she's really good. She is, expensive if you're going to do private, but she has some stuff that you can access that I think is group. And I know they used to do what's called deep dive. So Mickey Boberg just mentioned Spencer Watson as well. And my only goal when it comes to everybody has a different style, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely recommend, getting someone on the phone, or being with them in person so that you can feel if it's going to fit for you.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of, okay, I'm just going to do some energetic clearing for your team and we're good. To me, I really need the emotional piece. I need someone to help me walk through clearing some of my crap, because that's what quite literally is holding me back,
Yeah.
So I need both of those. If you want to do energetic clearing on me or my team, that's fine, but I need both. I can't just have, okay, it's all cleared, we're good, and there's no actual processing happening.
Right.
So just find the person, test them out, don't make a big commitment or contract, or anything at first.
Yeah.
And most of them will give you a call or two, at either a cheaper price or, for free, or they have recorded things you can listen to see if they're going to gel. Daniel McDonald is definitely someone that that we have used, and he is good at helping process emotions. He prefers to work in person. So that's, so you got a lot of people that will do phone work, and he's generally a in-person kind of guy. So if you are in Utah and you can get an appointment scheduled with him, he has an office, you can go and he can do Jinshin Jitsu. That's another thought that I talked to Melissa and Evan about, is that, if you have someone in your area that does some sort of art like Jinshin Jitsu, you can check them out, because like a Jinshin scenario is clearing energy blocks through the body. And a lot of times, not all the practitioners, but a lot of them are good at letting you walk through some of your, voicing some of what is showing up for you.
Yeah.
And so they're doing a physical practice while you're getting to bring up the emotional piece. And it can be super massive when you combine those two instead of just a talking through the conscious.
Yeah, I did a lot of EFT, and that was helpful for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, good. Thanks for the suggestions.
You're welcome. And I agree that you should not be holding the burden, for that scenario, right? That
was the other thing that I was curious about. Like, if you were to support somebody like that somewhat, what would you suggest? What would you propose in terms of
I think you're super wise to say and have like almost like a back to the ranch with them that says, hey, whatever we've been doing is not working. So, so this year is about doing exactly the opposite of whatever it is you've been doing. You know what I mean? It's like, we got to shake this up in a massive way, not might be nice to add a different 5-minute routine to your day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What it's like the quote, and I believe Kyle said this in the Share Success Day, and if it wasn't Kyle, I apologize, and it was a Les Brown quote, I think, which was, okay, what's the biggest, highest risk in your business right now? Identify that and go after it, because it will bring the best and biggest rewards and results. And I was like, okay, and it hit me. And I really think that if all of us can kind of, and it's going to be something that's going to be either really scary for our psyche, or, I don't know why it's going to be that, it could be that it's a money, risk, right? Could be that it's a self-esteem risk, like I'm going to go talk to this big fish and they could totally make me feel like a pile of crap,
Right.
But whatever it is, we've got to identify what is the biggest risk I could take. So please, none of you go and like mortgage your entire houses, and it's my fault. But actually, it's Les Brown's fault. He said it. So, but the goal being to identify some big stuff, right? Identify some big play moves, not playing small, whatever that we've been doing. And that's what I would tell that leader is, okay, let her pick, let her figure it out. Just say, what if you were to play all out huge this year because playing small or whatever it is we were doing is not working, what are some ideas you have that could make a difference? I would let her be the one to orchestrate that. Otherwise, she won't probably make a change.
Got it. Thanks so much, Rox.
No, my pleasure. So fun to have you on.
You muted yourself, Roxane.
Oh, you're right. I did. So we have 5 minutes. See, isn't it nice to know that you can be totally tech illiterate and lame and still find out a way to make this business work? So, we have 5 minutes left. Anyone have some closing ideas or questions?
Roxane, I do. I would love to get some advice on something. So, when you go to convention, you get to talk with your enrollments. And so I got to talk with a lot of my enrollments, and I grew to Blue Diamond pretty quickly in 10 months. And so there's a lot of immaturity on my part there. I've learned a lot over the last 2 years being a Blue Diamond. But in the beginning, I kind of passed off a lot of the mentorship to the person I placed my enrollments underneath. And so I kind of got that time with my enrollments this past week just to talk with them and see how they're doing. And of course, I'm discovering that, they're not getting really good mentorship. The leaders that I placed them underneath aren't moving. And I need to figure out how to redeem myself from that and how to mentor all these people that I have underneath me who are building and who aren't getting that good leadership and mentorship from that person I placed underneath. So I'm trying to come up with some kind of a plan or a schedule, how to do that. And I would love to hear anyone's advice on how I could go about doing that. I have probably about personal enrollment builder-wise, I have probably around 100. And there's no way I can mentor all of them one-on-one. But I do want to make sure that they are getting, some kind of really great and beneficial mentorship to help them move forward.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions about this situation. So are the 100 personally enrolled, are they the ones who are basically connected through this leader, or are they, how many are we talking that are underneath this leader that have not been getting?
Well, there's many leaders that are not actually properly mentoring. And even if they are, they're not moving themselves. So I'm kind of just seeing some bit of immaturity in them. You get to see that at convention. And that, I do want to take it on myself, but I just don't know how to, and I don't know if that's the right thing to do at this point. So yeah, to answer your question, there's various leaders, and there's, a good couple handfuls of people who are really unhappy with, their leader that I've placed them underneath and that I've kind of given the mentoring to.
Okay. Well, the first thought I had is, two things. One is group calls can be highly, they can be very powerful because it gives them the option of coming to you as opposed to you kind of saying, okay, here I am for you, and trying to make slots in your schedule for all those people. Mm-hmm. Do you already offer those people a high level, kind of group call?
I offer a Monday, a leadership call every night for everybody. And then we sometimes do like a silver and above, and we do a new launch builder call. So, and that's for everybody on the team. And those are twice a month.
Okay. And so these people who are complaining about their mentorship that they've been not getting or whatnot, have they been accessing that call?
Actually, I would say only about a fourth of them are. The rest of them are not, and that's why, it might just be an excuse that they enrolled with me, so they feel like they should get that, one-on-one with me, which I really do want to give them. I don't know how to go about, in my time doing that.
Okay. So I know Sarah Jansen does this, and I actually haven't done this myself, and some of you may have another scheduling tool, and I'm trying to remember. Maybe you guys remember, she announced this at the trip, the Diamond Mastermind trip, that she uses a scheduling tool to quite literally, she says, this is my day that I'm doing calls, and she sends it out, and basically people can go on and pick a section of time that is available, a block, right? and then they basically book her day, right, according to, and so they're having to say, this is when I want you, right? And it also, she only has a certain time block. She's not like, I'm available all week, right? Like one day. Do you guys remember, who remembers the name of that tool? I will look it up. If no one remembers it, I can look it up. I have notes from that.
I don't know the name of the tool that Sarah uses, but Acuity scheduling is Acuity, ACUITY, is really awesome. And what's great about it too is that as it books your appointments, it uploads to, like, you can do Gmail or your iPhone calendar. And then if you're scheduling something on your calendar that's not your Acuity schedule, it'll actually automatically block you off. So you don't accidentally, like, set something up on the phone with somebody and you don't have access to that schedule. You can just book it into your calendar. You would ordinarily do that, and it'll block off Acuity so that's no longer available.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
It's $10 a month, but it's really great.
Totally worth it. Okay, so Acuity scheduling. So that would be like, you would just search that, or is it acuity.com or?
Just search it. I'm sorry, I don't know that. I just signed up for
You said it was ACU.
ITY. I've been using it for like the past 2 months. It's been really great.
Nice. Okay. And I can also ask Sarah what the name of hers is, so you guys have a couple of options. I know for a situation like this where you've got, where you basically have, lots of people that are going to want time, and they may be personally enrolled by you, and in some way we all have a responsibility to those people who have been personally enrolled by us to either pass the torch correctly, right, or spend time with them. So the cool thing about what Melissa's advice of using that tool or Sarah's is that it still gives them the chance to decide, right? Because one of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to mentoring is to, like, basically try and force people into certain time slots or a call, and I don't usually call them, right? The responsibility is on them to call me at their given time, so that we start the call in a zone of, hey, you're coming to get advice, and not because I'm trying to, like, feed my ego, but it's really not good if you're the one who's basically forcing this on them, right? So it already sounds like these people are interested, they want to work with you, and I would also probably have them pick a book that you feel like is about, going to open everyone up so they're kind of on the same page. Maybe it's something that really helps them be more teachable, and I might even have that be a prereq to get on this schedule, that they read that particular book or listen to it, because once again, if you're going to create value, help them to create value and have an exchange. And then what happens is there's a much more powerful scenario as opposed to you creating tons of value and they're, like, not even getting what the value is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of what I was thinking, something like that. And even just doing my personal, like a group call, like you said, for rank. So elites, I do a group call. Premiers, a group call, and all of my personal enrollment builders, I was thinking that I could do it that way too. But it's,
Yeah, anything that you can do to eliminate this feeling of, oh my gosh, I have to be on my phone for, 24 hours. Because that's just going to help them see that it's possible, right? To manage it and not feel like, we all know that when mentoring gets out of hand, you can feel like you don't have any time to prospect or build at all because all you're doing is on the phone with everybody all day long. So, awesome. Great question. Okay, guys, we're supposed to be over. So if there is any, it looks like Rosie's been putting up some really good info on the chat. So make sure you check that out. Thank you, Rosie. And any other thoughts, please feel free to let me know. And I think we're going to close it unless there's anything super urgent.
I was just going to mention to Jackie that if there's like an hour I know I'm going to be sitting at my desk, what I'll do is I'll tell my team and make it an open mentor so I can have my Zoom open. And I mean, I'll have people pop in there and ask me a question. And sometimes it's surprising who shows up. They end up asking a builder question. They were totally off your radar. And you were sitting there anyway. So, they're just like pop on and ask questions.
I love it, Kat. That's
something that Zia's been doing with her team too. They have a deep dive session, so everyone like gets on and is muted, and they all work together. Something that Eric Worre talks about is doing these like work sessions, And for most of us, that's hard because we're all in different places with our, not in the same place as our teams. But I love that idea. Thanks for bringing that up, Kyla.
Awesome. You guys are terrific. Thank you for getting on, and it's your collaboration and synergy that makes this call powerful. So can't wait. One other piece, just so everyone knows, Thursday we are, and I'll just confirm with Andy and get this information out on the Blue and Prez page. So the Share Success, Natural Solutions Revolution Blue and Prez page, we will have a posting for the Belief Breakthrough calls that they're going to start on Thursdays at the same time. So 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain. And that call will be rotating. You'll have rotating coaches. So like Becky Hinsey, Andy Goddard, Heather Matter. Kyla's going to hop on and help people with belief and gratitude statements. And then I'll do a week. So we're going to be rotating. So if you have people who can't afford to get a coach or whatever, that might be a great way to start them, little baby steps, of getting on there. And any of you that want to get on too. Okay. It's open really for anyone.
Where are you posting it?
We're going to post that on the Blue Prez page so that it's kind of basically you as leaders get to handpick who comes on, or you can just come on and check it out first and make sure you like it, up to you. But yeah, that's how we're doing that.
In the main Blue Prez page.
The
Natural Solutions.
So not the main one, the doTERRA, everybody, right? The Natural Solutions Revolution.
Okay, great.
Hey, love you guys. Go ahead, Joy.
Thank you. Oh, what was I going to say? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Hey, love you guys. Thanks for getting on. Take care.
Okay, bye.